In this video, we're going to be talking about the best handheld GPSs for hunting. So basically what we look for when we're testing all of these different devices out, where we basically are going to rate each of the following handheld GPSs based on how it actually performed, how durable it actually was, and then the price. Okay, so pretty much we tried to find, the best ones we could for, we tried to find one that's kind of low ticket, one that's kind of mid ticket, and then a more, high advanced GPS out there. So we basically went out and tested quite a few different ones. We've used them in the past for hunting and that kind of thing. So we're just going to kind of compile the information and give kind of our opinion on the top three and who they're kind of best for. Okay, so number 3 is going to be the Garmin Fortrex 401 here. Basically, what I like most about this GPS is that it pretty much does everything you kind of need it to do, and it's super affordable. So it kind of just has like the basic features to it. There's actually no map or anything like that on it, but it allows you to track where you went, with compass, how far you have to go to different waypoints, how far you've already gone, that kind of thing. It also uses like military grid reference system, so MGRS, and then there's also latitude and longitude coordinates, so you can pretty much pick whatever one you want and whichever one you're more comfortable with and go with that. Then it also tracks the data of like where you've already gone. So you can basically see where you've gone already, so you can kind of backtrack back to camp or that kind of thing. So I found that was really useful. That's kind of the main thing that I used it for, was that, and pretty much like marking different waypoints, good spots to set up a blind, or whatever you want to do, like that kind of thing, right? It has information on like sunrise and sunset, like what times and that kind of thing, and there's also hunting and fishing info, which is kind of useful as well. So those are kind of the main features that I liked about this. How about some pros? So the price is great in my opinion. There are more expensive ones out there. I'm sure there's cheaper ones out there as well, but from our experience, the cheaper ones, they weren't that great in our opinion. This one definitely worked great, and the price was great as well. It also had great reception wherever we took it. So we've taken it to pretty remote places, lots of different places, and it picked up reception no problem. We've never really had any problems with that. You can track how far you've gone to 1/10 of a mile or a kilometer, or you can track like the distance to a waypoint, that kind of thing, so that's always super helpful. And finally, it does like the basics really well. Obviously it's a cheaper thing, so it's not going to have all the advanced things like a lot of these other ones have, like maps and that kind of thing. It does pretty much like the basic things you need to do, and it's cheap and it does it really well. Okay, so those are kind of the main things to know. How about some cons? So again, it doesn't show any maps of the area. You have to like input like coordinates to like different spots, and then it'll tell you how far you have to go. It'll give you kind of a point on a map, that kind of thing. The manual isn't the best, so you'll have to play around with it for a little while. One of the common things we found was pretty much in any of these GPSs, they're gonna require a little bit of a learning curve, so we definitely noticed that. But this one especially, the manual wasn't that great. But even if you play around with it for maybe like an hour or two, that kind of thing, or there's YouTube videos out there that explain how to use it more so than the manual. So it's not going to take a huge amount of time, but it's definitely something to note. And then the battery lasted for about 15 hours before we had to use new batteries. So if you're just using regular batteries, you're probably going to go through them quite often. So I'd recommend you pick up some like rechargeable batteries, and you'll have to simply recharge them after 15 hours. So if you're going out like 5-8 hours a day, you'll probably have to charge it after day 2, that kind of thing. It's not a huge deal or anything like that, but there are some ones out there that have a longer battery life, but they're also going to be way more expensive. Number 2 is going to be the Garmin Montana 680. So basically this GPS is great for like not only in the bush, that kind of thing, but it's also can be used on water or even on the road as like a navigation map. So it comes preloaded with 10K maps around the US, and then you can pretty much buy additional maps, or you can even find free ones on some websites, that kind of thing. You can get the 24K more detailed maps as well. And then I found the battery life to be a bit better than some of the other models out there. And then you can easily find like you can set in waypoints, you can set up routes, that kind of thing, and then you can pretty much share that with other Garmin users. So it makes it really simple. We found that process was easy. If someone else has another Garmin thing, you can pretty much share your plan, like where you're gonna go, where you're gonna set up, that kind of thing, and then it just makes everything so much easier. Pros, so it comes with an 8 megapixel autofocus camera, which is pretty awesome as well. You can take pictures, and then it's going to pretty much log those coordinates, and then you can basically go back to it. I know that's a really helpful thing that I use quite a bit. It was, I took a picture of something I thought was cool, and then oftentimes it's kind of hard to find that again if you're way out in the middle of nowhere. So you can pretty much log this, and it'll pretty much show you exactly where to go. And then you can easily plan your trips with routes, waypoints, and then pretty much share it like we talked about. Some cons, it is fairly expensive, so it is quite a bit more expensive than the previous one we talked about, but there are going to be a lot more features, like there's a camera, there's maps, that kind of thing. You pretty much have to pay extra for like the city navigation map, which is kind of unfortunate, but I mean pretty much all of the ones out there you have to pay for additional stuff. And then again, it took a bit of time to understand how to actually use it properly, just like any of them. I don't think there's going to be any way around that, but those are just some things to know before you actually go out and get it. And the number one pick is going to be the Garmin GPS Map 64. So basically this is my favorite handheld GPS because it pretty much always worked. It never really disconnected or anything like that. It was super reliable, it was durable, and I did find it easier to use than some of the other touchscreen models. So it's not actually a touchscreen, you pretty much have to use like the arrows there and there's buttons on it. I find that's kind of more user friendly, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. It was quick to connect to the satellites, probably the fastest in my opinion, and it was rarely ever down. It was definitely quite a bit better than some of the other ones we've tested. It's just as accurate as anything else out there, and yeah, I was pretty impressed with how it actually performed. And you can plan your trip as well with routes and waypoints and that kind of thing, and then share them with other Garmin users, just like the previous one. Okay, so how about some pros? So it's one of the fastest and more reliable units that we tested. It has a lot of advanced features that I personally haven't actually used yet. I pretty much just use it for like its basic things like maps, waypoints, routes, that kind of thing, and pretty much have seen where I've already gone. But there are a lot more advanced things that I haven't really played around with. But if you are going to need more advanced stuff, then this is definitely a great option for you. And then you can also find quite a few free 24K maps online, which are pretty easy to download as well. So it comes preloaded with like the 100K around the US, but if you're in somewhere else or you want kind of like more detailed maps, you can simply download them, or you can even buy them. Okay, so how about some cons? So again, it's fairly expensive, compared to some of the other ones out there, but in my opinion, it was quite a bit better. It eats through batteries, just like pretty much all of them. So make sure you use rechargeable batteries. And again, it took quite a bit of time to get used to and get comfortable with, but again, that was pretty much like any of the ones out there. And if you are interested in picking up one of these, I will leave links in the description down below. And at the time of this video, those were the best places that we could find each of these GPSs, so you can go ahead and check out the current price if you want to go ahead and do so. And that's pretty much going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. And I'll just mention our monthly giveaway here. So if you want to enter into our monthly gear giveaway, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and the number 2 comment giveaway down below. Simply do both those and you'll be automatically entered. Alright, that's going to be for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and we will see you in the next video.